whatever. There's like this TikTok where, I don't know if you've probably seen this one. It's a fairly famous one where it's this guy and he's at the bar with his bro. And he's like, he's like, that girl over there in the black, she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And then his friend is like, go talk to her. And he's like, no.
Yeah, 100%, dude. That's us every night, right? My boy and I were texting.
It's like, just fucking go over there.
My boy texted me the other day to go out. And he's like, you want to go to the bar? I was like, I think I said no, but he was like, come on, we could go like look at 10 girls and not talk to a single one. I'm like, we'll leave with 12 damn she's bad, 6 eye contacts made, and no girls talking.
Yeah.
Welcome to the All-Star Athlete Podcast, your guide to mastering the mental game and reaching your full potential.
Yeah, people like, I get mixed reactions about, first of all, like people when I ask them if they even want to be on a podcast, they're like, oh, I don't know. Like people are very like self-conscious about how they sound, how they look.
Everything, yeah.
That's something that I've gotten very used to when you record content.
32 episodes.
32 episodes. Like, I mean, social media, just like, because I do little, talking head kind of thing. I don't know if you're following my like mental performance channel.
Yeah, I think I do.
Like last week I was on the beach and I was literally just walking down the beach and I was one of those people that was just like holding up my phone, talking to it. Yeah. You see people like doing that in the airport and it's like one of the nice things I'll tell you about getting older is you care less and less. You care less about what other people think. And it's such a nice feeling. Yeah. But to your point about video editing and stuff like that, like let's say a 2-hour episode, I'm video editing. So I sit there and listen to myself and look at myself. It's actually a really great way at getting better at public speaking and at talking to other people because you are really able to hear all the ums and the uhs and like, oh, I fucking adjust my glasses every like 3 words that I say and shit like that.
Touch your face, everything.
Touch your face. Like you become super hyper aware of that.
Yeah.
So
makes you better.
It makes you better.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm kind of desensitized to it at this point. Whereas, for example, some people I've done episodes with them and I'll record the whole thing and I'll edit it and I'll send it to them after we're done. Like, hey, like, look at what we created together. Yeah. And like, they won't even watch it because they're so like self-critical about how they look and how they talk and all these different kind of things. So
for sure.
People are also nervous about being on camera and being on mic and lights and stuff like that. Like I just asked this person recently if they wanted to do an episode, and she told me that she wants to be like a sideline reporter. And I'm like, oh, great, like perfect practice for you.
For sure, yeah.
To like be on camera and, kind of be interviewed. And then she was like, oh, well, I don't know, I get really nervous when I'm talking to people like one-on-one. And I was like, okay, well, how are you going to hope to be a sideline reporter then, kind of a thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a perfect practice. It's like come in here, just talk. And
literally,
there's no pressure either.
No pressure whatsoever. If we fuck up, we stop, we go back and like pause and whatever.
Pay people to do all that work. So it's like you just come down, sit down, have a conversation, and
ship it off.
People, you have people that do it for you.
I have people that do that. I mean, even the bigger podcasters have like producers in the room for them. I don't know if you guys follow like LeBron James and stuff like that, but. He just recently started doing a podcast called Mind the Game with Steve Nash. And it was actually hosted, I think, by JJ Redick last year until he got hired. LeBron and JJ Redick like started doing that together. And then I think Steve Nash took over when JJ Redick obviously got hired to take over the Lakers coaching job. But, those guys, they're not doing any of this. There's like at least 2 or 3 people probably writing the script and manning the cameras and setting them up with all their mics. They're not doing any of the editing and stuff. When you're a big fish like that, you just get other people to do that.
Just sit down, talk shop.
Right, and then
everything looks beautiful.
Move on with your day, exactly.
It comes really well put together,
Right, so I'm figuring out how to do all the video editing, all the uploading. I got to make sure everything's recording. Which is good to know, though. It is good. It is good. This woman who just started sales at our
Little
gym.
Italy?
Little Italy. We just started somebody new. She was like asking me about the episodes and stuff, and she was like, well, how come you just don't do 2 episodes a week? And I was like,
fucking process. That's why.
Well, I just got done editing the episode from last Saturday, yesterday, because I work full time, and then I do this like in the morning, in the evening when I have time. I'm doing all my daily. I post 3-4 times on my socials every single day. So it's like, if I had a video editor, which eventually that's a direction I could go, but then you're looking at paying anywhere from like $150 to $300 per video to edit something like this. So, and the goal is to eventually monetize this, right? Once I get enough subscribers and promotions and stuff.
I was just going to ask you, what's kind of I'm a fan of all-star mindset, right? Obviously, that's probably why I'm here. Like, I like that thought process. What's your goal overall with this? Like, are you doing it pure out of enjoyment? Do you have like an overall goal?
So the overall goal is long-term. I'd like to make this
profitable.
Profitable, certainly.
Yeah.
And my long-term sort of goal is to do this as my main thing.
Yeah.
Right now I'm a personal trainer, and my personal training kind of supports this business.
Similar directions.
It's similar, right? Personal training, as you know, because you're a personal trainer, is mostly physical, but there's a mental component of it as well.
Yeah.
Right? There's always something behind what's going on with somebody.
Yeah, I would argue the mental is the key source for the physical, right? I think you would agree with that.
A lot of times it's like, I want to lose weight, but they want to lose weight because they have like negative self-image, or they want to fit in, or they can't make friends, or they got rejected by that person, or they were bullied when they were growing up, and these sorts of things. So there's always a mental piece behind the physical piece.
Yeah, for sure.
With the mental performance coaching, which is what this is kind of spawned of, this podcast, I started the All-Star Mindset business, and then actually what happened was I just wanted to get better at speaking to people and being on camera and recording content. So I was like, oh, well, I could start a podcast. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then the cool thing about that too is that I bring in other people, right? And so now I'm going to create some highlights, and then we'll do like a collaborative post on your social media and mine. So now my business is getting advertised sort of unofficially to your following.
Yeah.
And then if like somebody else did an episode, well, they have totally different followers than you do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you know Janelle Falens. She's the yoga group X.
Yeah. Yep.
She just did an episode last week.
She was your last one. Yeah,
she was just from last week, and she's probably got mostly different followers than you do.
For sure, probably, right?
So every single person has different followers. So
different demographics.
Different demographics, different, people looking for different things. Anyways, so long term, I hope to make this either my main thing, make it profitable enough that I can kind of just phase out the personal training, or generate experience for myself doing this, such that I could apply for a job at like a D1 school, a San Diego State, San Diego FC. Like we got a new soccer club, MLS soccer team down here in San Diego.
Yeah.
And apply and reasonably have experience and be like, yo, I've coached these people. I've launched this podcast. I have this like professional development program. Whereas like I just graduated with my master's degree a few years ago, and you're applying for these jobs and they're like, oh, must have 5 years of experience working with elite athletes at the highest level. And I'm like, it's that classic catch-22.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, how do I get experience working with elite athletes at the highest level if you don't hire people that don't have experience?
It's a classic one, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the long and the short of what I'm doing here. But
I think that's a good approach too, because to get your own experience and build your own resume, if somebody's not going to hire you and give you a shot, all right, I'll just do it myself.
Exactly.
Right? It's like nobody's coming to save you kind of thing. So
nope.
Fine, I'll do it.
Yep,
Great.
exactly.
Cool.
And and we can probably kind of talk about some of this kind of stuff today, but like nobody's going to do anything for you.
Yeah.
Like if you want to build a business, if you want to be successful, I will say at least for 99.999% of us, there's some people that kind of like jump on the coattails of other people and trust fund babies and all this kind of stuff. It's like in very rare occasions, but
and you're handed that type of stuff, but who wouldn't want that?
Right.
I see both sides of that, because I think purpose and what your definition of success is can be different for everybody. Right. I would love to never have to worry about money. Like here's $100 million. Great. Like live your life. I don't know if my life would be that different, honestly. Like all the stuff I do anyway. Right.
You're an ambitious guy. You'd probably still do something.
Yeah. I'd have to push myself physically still. Like it wouldn't really change all that. Maybe I'd have more clothes, probably a little nicer car, but
for sure.
Like my day-to-day lifestyle, work less, play more. I already don't work all that much, so
right,
it's good.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into it here. as far as kind of what we're talking about today, being mental performance and your experience as an athlete and struggles that you've gone through. I know we've chatted a little bit already, but I do have some fun kind of warm-up questions for you here to
thank God.
Just kind of learn a little bit about your personality and, you know, have some fun with it. And then we'll kind of hop into like exactly what you're doing as far as your athletic situation.
I'm here for it.
So first question for you is, if you could eat only one food for the rest of your life, but it had zero effect on your health or body, what are you picking?
It's a great question. I love candy. Love candy. And like what I eat day to day isn't all that. I eat pretty clean. I've always ate pretty clean. So I don't think there's anything outside of candy that I would pick. I'm like Jolly Ranchers all day, every day. Any kind of just sugary food. I love sugar.
Okay.
And I don't eat sugar at all. But when I was younger, I ate a lot. And now for one of the half marathons, I did some Sour Patch Kids. And it got me right on back into a sugar kick. So I was Sour Patch Kids all week. I was like, fuck, but they're so good.
Like that was your pre-race?
Pre-race.
Or intra-race or post-race? You were just like popping them as you were going?
Before and while I was running, I was eating them, yeah.
Okay. All right.
That was pretty good.
That's sick.
Yeah. So Sour Patch Kids. Food-wise, though, like specific food, maybe pizza. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So either pizza or candy.
Yeah, candy.
Just like junk, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a pretty standard answer, I would guess.
Yeah.
Because I mean, those are the things that affect your health and body the most.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could eat those without them having the negative effects, you might as well do that.
Yeah. High sugar, right?
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Second question here. If you were allowed to swap lives with one celebrity, and they could be alive or could be deceased, for one day. So you're swapping lives with a celebrity for one day. Who are you picking and what are you doing with their day?
It's a phenomenal question. Alive or deceased? And what's funny is I looked at these questions and I'd never even, this one specifically, I was like, I have no idea. I don't know if I'd really want to change lives with anybody specifically, right? Especially like if you pick a celebrity, somebody who's famous, I don't know if I'd want all that in my life. But if I'd pick somebody, maybe Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Seems like.
It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't think his lifestyle would all, like, what does he do in his day-to-day that would be so exciting for me? But I don't know, because I wouldn't want all the fame and everything that some celebrities have, and then I feel like he's a chill dude.
So just pick like some B-list celebrity that like
I know
you wouldn't even recognize them if they were like walking around.
Yeah,
or
so
whatever.
like yeah, true.
But then people wouldn't even know who that is. So then it's like, what are we doing?
It's like, why even switch?
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. That's fair. All right. Well, who is your favorite celebrity then, or athlete, or whoever?
Actor, big fan of Robert Downey Jr. Maybe him. He's probably a good one actually.
To switch lives with for a day.
Yeah.
Just like.
He's pretty famous. It's
yeah.
like he's not going outside and just walking down the block. Like he's getting mobbed, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want
Can
that.
I take my picture with you? Like,
exactly.
Okay. So you don't want to be famous someday then?
Not specifically.
Okay.
All
right.
I think what comes with fame sometimes is fortune. That's nice.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want the fame in terms of you can't go outside and live your life. If you go to a bar, like everybody's coming over to you and and
you don't really have like a normal life anymore, at least not for the rest of us.
No, exactly, right? And strangers come up to you. I just had this conversation with a buddy. We were talking about how people tend to think they know you if you post on social media, if you're an influencer, whatever it is. You post so much about yourself and then people think because they follow you, they know you at that core level, but you have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that, personally.
So, like, random, kind of what you're saying is random strangers or followers. Like, let's say you were famous.
Yeah.
You had, like, 10 million followers or whatever, and you're posting regularly. People know all about you and your life and your situation, but you know nothing about them. So if they come up to you in public, you're going to be like, whoa, like, who are you? But this person like knows everything about you.
Yeah. I saw you just bought that house. You're like, yeah, how do you know where I live? Like,
yeah.
So
stalker vibes.
Yeah, and I think for the most part it's genuine. 90% of people are great, right? But you get that small percentage of
weirdos.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Next question, and then we'll kind of move on here. Mm-hmm. Did you have a childhood stuffed animal, blanket, or random object that you were weirdly attached to? And be honest, do you still have it?
I did. My childhood one was a stuffed animal called Scruffy. Little dog. Perfect. I believe he's still at my house in Connecticut. I think he definitely probably is, especially knowing my mom. He's probably sitting on my bed still.
She kept all that stuff?
Yeah. And then I had a blanket that probably something for me was like more of a comfort blanket that I've had for maybe like 10 years, but I actually threw it out a couple months back. Just was like, time for a shift here. Like, I don't want this comfort anymore kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I always like had that, just a comfort thing, and then I just threw it away because I was like, ready for the next
time to move on.
Exactly, kind of thought there.
That's fair. Yeah. My mom actually unloaded all that because my mom kept all of our baby stuff, like our baby clothes, and we had these cool like little Foot Locker trunk type things.
Yeah.
And she was, getting older, and they were kind of downsizing, moving into a new house, and she was like, "Hey, like, have all this stuff. Like, do you want it?" And I was like.
All like from when you were a kid?
From when I was a kid, like my little stuffed animals, my baby clothes, my like, art projects that we
nostalgia.
When you were like 3 years old and you're like, I have no idea. I don't remember doing this, but I guess like I must have done this.
Yeah.
So I actually still have all that stuff.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I have a big walk-in closet, so I just like have them stacked in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Like if I ever have kids someday, like but like I've got my baby clothes, so like it'd be kind of cool to like put my baby clothes on my kid in like a weird kind of full circle way. But I got
Justin
my old
Jr.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got my old stuffed animals in there. I'm a big cat guy, so I got my cat's name, or my stuffed animal cat was Kitty. Very standard. Boom. And of course I had Doggy.
I love it.
So I still got that stuff, but it's nostalgic. But at a certain point, it's just like kind of taking up space, and you're like, what am I doing with this?
For sure. And I cleaned my closet a couple weeks ago. And every time I look at something, I'm like, I'm going to need this at some point in the near future. Never need it. I'm like, I just bit the bullet, and I was like, I'm throwing all this shit away because I'm never going to use it.
Yep. Of course, that's when like 2 months later, you're like, fuck, I wish
a party comes up, and I'm like, I had the perfect shirt.
Yeah.
So
it happens.
Yeah. Just buy a new one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So.
All right, cool. So let's get into kind of our main slate here.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to, I know we're, 20 minutes deep into our interview already, but I'd like for you to sort of formally introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, kind of give us a little bit of a background of, what exactly you've been doing with your life kind of up until right now, kind of the short version.
Yeah. So my name is Nico Arcata. I go by Nico to most. From Wethersfield, Connecticut. Made my way out to San Diego. I already said this about a year and 8 months ago. Pretty much ended up out here. My brother was out here. A little bit of family was out here. And
is that why you moved out here?
Yeah, I graduated college and had no idea what I wanted to do, like most 22-year-olds, I would assume. Ended up getting a job for this insurance company, which was, the people were great. Everything was great. It just wasn't for me, So I'd been out here a couple of times. I was living at home with my mom and my stepdad. For me, I'm like, I need to get the hell out of here and go. Honestly, in my head, I was like, I want to go fuck up. Like, I want to go take risks, see what I can kind of do on my own, on my own, in quotes, because having my brother made life a lot easier, of course. I mean, my whole life.
Big brother?
Big brother. He's 2 years older than me, which I think will be a good kind of rolling point for the athletic questions. It's like having a brother who's 2 years older than you, especially when you're like 12 and he's 14.
Yep.
All his friends are a little more developed.
Yep. I had a bigger brother too.
Yeah. So you're playing with like the better athletes. They're through puberty.
Yep.
I'm not.
Bigger, faster, stronger, rougher.
Yep. And it made me grow to definitely be the way I am in that way. But yeah, small town in Connecticut, Wethersfield. Went to college in Rhode Island. Worked for that insurance company. Came out here to visit. I already kind of in my head knew I was going to leave that company. Just because it just wasn't for me. That's all it is. But came out here and visited, solidified it. I was like, all right, I'm definitely moving. I'm probably going to come here. And it was between here and Charleston, South Carolina. So got home. I remember I walked into my job one day, just came back from lunch, and I just like grabbed my boss. I was like, hey, can we talk today? And he kind of knew. I kind of knew. So it was nerve-wracking. I was like scared shitless. I was shaking. I was ready to go, but it was a scary moment.
But you kind of just decided it was time to take that leap and move on to something bigger and better. And...
I literally just hit fuck it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'm young. I don't have anything to lose. Worst case scenario, right? You go, you fuck up, and then you come back, and nobody wants to go home and like fail, but I was perfectly okay with it at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, then over the summer, I spent it doing a little bit of personal training back home, working at a bar in Massachusetts, honestly kind of just locked in and grinding. Started running at that point, but really always prioritized weightlifting. And then my stepsister got married like 2 days after that, and it was my birthday. So like 2 days after that, just got in the car and just shipped it west. Drove by myself out here.
Damn, bro.
Yeah. Stopped in Charleston for a long weekend. Got banged up with my buddy Jack for 4 or 5 days. Just went out nonstop. So it was good. It was a fun time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about your athletic background specifically.
Yeah.
So you played just about every sport growing up, but you eventually focused on basketball in high school, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
What eventually led you, well, first kind of talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then what eventually led you to focus on endurance training after basketball? Because it sounds like you've done some weightlifting, you're doing endurance training, basketball. Like, how did you end up kind of where you are now?
Yeah. Basketball ended up for me, well, like we said, I played a lot of different sports. I think I was just attracted to basketball because of the tempo, the speed of it. It was nonstop. When I was real young, baseball was probably my best sport. And my mom to this day is like, you should have stuck with baseball. But I just like the tempo of basketball, right? Never hit that growth spurt, unfortunately. But I just loved it. And my brother and my dad would take us a little bit into the inner city. We'd play some pickup on the, like, just that gritty style of basketball. And I think that's also led to some of the mindset stuff. But I just fell in love with it. And I ended up working real hard. My team when we were younger, like 4th to 8th grade, I think we lost 2 games. Total. So we were pretty good. But yeah, and then just loved it. High school, we were a pretty good team. Senior year, lost in the quarter. Yeah.
Like state championship kind of thing?
What is it called? I can't even think.
Semifinals?
The one before it.
Quarterfinals,
right? Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we lost that game, and that was all she wrote, right? But I put so much time, energy, and effort into this game. It's what got me into weightlifting. I did cardio for the purpose of basketball, right? You don't stop. And I was a kid who didn't come out of the game, so I'm however long it is, 12, 24, 48 minutes nonstop, right?
Yeah. You've always been like a big like effort guy, like diving on the ground and like the hustle guy kind of thing, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Depended on what we needed, I was the point guard, so the guys around me were really talented, so it worked out where I could kind of feed it to them. If I had to score here and there, I could. It was well-rounded. But, yeah, we had a good team, good group of guys. So it was good. After that, got to college, became an alcoholic. But,
solid choice.
You know how it goes, yeah. No, but, like, kept that same mindset. Just, what do you do next, right? I didn't know what I wanted to do when I graduated high school. It was like, you're supposed to go to college. So I went to college. Joined a fraternity, which I didn't really want to do, but I'm happy I did it. I made a lot of good friends and good connections, but it was fun. It was a good time, college specifically. But keeping that same kind of thing where you're going out on the weekend, you're having a good time, maybe drinking more than you should, but still getting your work done. You're surrounded by guys who are going to go to the gym and work out. You're playing intramural basketball and intramural football. You're still staying active, but you're having fun at the same time. And that's kind of how I've always been. Actually, not in high school at all. I was really just focused on basketball. Like, I didn't drink until I was 18, but drank a lot after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
the transition to endurance sports.
Yeah. So, let's talk about, after basketball, you kind of transitioned into like endurance sports, I guess. Like, you're kind of at this point transitioning into like long distance running, half marathons, marathons, and so forth. So talk to me a little bit about kind of how that transpired.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a newer thing for me within the last year and a half. Always kind of identified as some type of athlete. Maybe I wasn't playing a sport, but I've always just tried to keep myself as athletic as possible. It's just how I trained. I enjoyed weightlifting. I would do cardio for the purpose of performing better, even if it was intramural, even if it was pickup. It was like, all right, athleticism was kind of my goal. And then you hit different points where I want to get stronger. I want to get bigger. I want to get leaner, right? You know how it goes being in the personal training space. But yeah, 8 months ago, got out here. I'd been running a little bit over the summer before I moved out here, but I had no idea what I was doing. In a way of, I'm just going to go out and run 3 miles, great. About a year ago, probably pretty similar. I'm going to go out, run a couple miles, great. No idea how to fuel, no idea how to zone or train in the proper zones, right? Which I think is a great start. So for people who ask me, I'm like, just go out and start running. Nick Marion, who used to work at East Village, used to work at Three Roots, would always say this quote is just run with people faster than you.
Yeah.
And I love it because that's what I did. And that's what really got me into running. My buddy James Kim, big runner. He was a runner when I got out here. And he was like, you want to go run 10 miles? And I was like, why the fuck would I want to run 10 miles? Sounds awful to me.
Yeah. But then you were like, let's go.
And then I went and did it, right? And I had worked all day and I had lifted. And I was like, yeah, let's go. My heart rate's at its max point the whole time. I'm dying. He's fine. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm supposed to be an athlete, right? So it was a new challenge for me in a way. And the more I did it, the better I felt, the mind adjusted, the body adjusted, everything felt pretty good. So that's what got me going with it a little bit. And then the priority was always strength training until recently, I would say. And that may be egotistical in a way, just being strong and looking jacked. Of
course, who doesn't want that?
Yeah, right. So that's like where my head's at. And even when I run now, I'm like, all right, I don't want to be skinny. So can you perform optimally while still retaining that much muscle? There's probably a better way to do it, carrying less load, but that's fine. I'm gonna stick to having some muscle on me and pushing myself in that way. So
for sure.
Yeah.
So you would say, kind of, if you boiled it down, that you're just drawn to challenges.
For sure.
Because you've always, going back to playing with, I believe your brother's name is Mario, right? Mm-hmm. So playing with Mario and the boys growing up, the younger brother, that was a challenge for you.
Yeah.
So if I had to guess, like, ever since childhood, you've always been drawn to, like, intentionally or unintentionally playing up, challenging yourself and because playing with those guys, they were the faster guys than you.
Yeah.
And now you're getting into like weightlifting and running, and you're running with people who are faster than you. So you're always just drawn to that challenge, improving yourself, getting better. So like, it's always kind of that what's next mentality. How can I challenge myself? How can I get better? Mm-hmm. And that's super cool. You mentioned to me off the air that by the time you're 30, you're trying to complete an Ironman, which is, I believe, a full marathon. Right, what is it, like 100-mile bike?
I think it's
ride?
around 112 miles, 2
point something mile swim or something like that. Yeah. So talk to me about that a little bit. Like, why is that so important to you?
First of all, it takes a lot for me to admit when I'm bad at something. Terrible swimmer. That in itself is a challenge, right? So I've been trying to get in the pool more, just to get better. I think that's so important to me because it's a goal that has always seemed so ridiculous. A full Ironman, I mean, especially if you asked me 2 years ago, I wouldn't even think twice about it. I would be like, no, I'm a lifter. Like, I'm complacent with where I'm at. I'll stay healthy. longevity, whatever it may be, even though I'm probably at a point of unhealthy exercise in my life, but
like over exercising?
For sure. Here and there, different days. Alcohol doesn't help, but that's a whole nother conversation that I'm sure we'll get into. But for me, I think it's so important now because even a marathon seemed like I'm never going to do a marathon. I was like, half marathons are perfect. I can compete at a level where I'm so competitive that I can come in a certain place in a half marathon and still retain the amount of muscle I want, right? So it's still like that ego of being strong and muscular,
sure,
but competing in this activity, which the half marathon is a good distance for me. And then the full marathon happened because I walked into the back office at Fit, and since we had the run club going, Jordan was like, the general manager was like, I'm going to pay for the run club leaders to run the rock and roll. Do you want to do the half or the full? And I was like, you're paying? He was like, yeah. I was like, sign me up for the full. I was like, fuck. Yeah, so my mindset with that the whole time was pretty much just do it to do it. Like, complete it, do the full, never have to do it again. You can say you've ran a full marathon, which is cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Just do it to get it done, which is pretty much what I did. I didn't really train for it, right? I train pretty consistently with running and lifting, and I think we'll end up going into that a little bit more in detail, but I didn't train specifically for the full marathon. So I was still running. I upped my miles a little bit, but I was really only doing like 25 to 30 miles a week, a month and a half before, which is pretty low for a full. I was running more when I was pretty locked in on doing a half marathon. Just because I was like, I'm just going to do it to do it. The Boston Marathon happened. A bunch of people were posting their times. I knew some people running it, and it kind of fired me up. And I was like, fuck, I got to go all out in this thing.
You didn't do the Boston Marathon, though,
I did not. No.
Okay. You just had some friends that were doing it, and you saw them posting. And
exactly.
And that was a few weeks, I'm guessing, before you ran your full marathon, which you just ran, it was like a couple months ago now, right? Or last month or something?
June 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still feeling it.
So, again, still feeling it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, again, that challenge mindset.
For sure.
Probably kicked in, and you're like, oh, these guys are posting these times, like, I'm gonna do it. You know, I'm gonna hit this time or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So
the male ego.
What was that?
I said the male ego.
Right.
I'm
exactly.
Like, fuck.
Yeah. So you saw these guys posting some times, and what times were they posting specifically?
I mean, some more really competitive individuals, sub 3 hour, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of next level stuff.
And what time were you hoping to post when you ran your first full marathon?
At first, right, it was just, I'm going to do it to do it and complete it. Don't care. Not going to lose the weight. Probably not going to put enough miles in. And I was like, all right, I want to go for it. Decided to shoot for a 3:30, which is pretty good.
That's a what pace?
7:50 something maybe. I don't know.
Okay,
probably like
approximately. Yeah,
around an 8. We'll say
around an 8 minute
because
mile.
I think I did it in like an 8:30 pace, and I was 8:40 or 3:45.
Okay,
so
very respectable still.
Yeah, and that hill, the 163.
Yeah,
took my fucking soul.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That probably takes pretty much everybody's soul. I think
yeah.
You were telling me like basically everybody was like walking at that point.
Everybody's walking. The few people who are still running, respect to you. You know, I tried. My one goal getting to it was just don't stop running.
Yeah.
I think I walked a little bit closer to the top. I almost passed out too, but what are you going to do?
Respect to you for admitting that, because a lot of people they don't give details of if they walked or ran. It's just like, I completed a marathon.
Oh yeah, I mean. My one goal was to not walk at all, and then that hill is just... Yeah. And I stopped one time to pee, and it was like... I had to pee the whole race.
Yeah.
And then I got to the top of the hill, and I was like, I'm about to pass out. My heart rate's at 195, which is my max heart rate.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this chance to take a piss.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's funny, you're going up that hill, and people are collapsed on the side. There's an ambulance taking off with somebody in the back. And all I'm thinking is, I wish that was fucking me. I wish I was in that, like...
You almost wanted to die in that moment, huh?
I just didn't want to be doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
But that's what I love. Like, that's kind of the
challenge.
That's the chase right there, yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah. So You've said that self-doubt is one of your biggest mental challenges. Why do you think that is, and how does that show up for you?
How it shows up for me in terms of self-doubt, how I doubt myself, is not thinking you're good enough a lot of the times. I'm somebody definitely more of an insecure overachiever in a way where I finished a marathon great. To me, like, that's not impressive and I should have done better. You know, like, I would never give myself a pat on the back and be like, you did great. And I think that actually goes back to even high school basketball. Is kind of funny enough. We were a good team, but we would play well. I would play well, but I always didn't think I played well enough, even if we win, even if I maybe scored a certain amount of points, steals, rebounds, assists, whatever it was. Right. And getting home and like sitting in the car and just being like, I could have done better. At 17, probably a lot worse than it is now that I'm 25. I'm trying to work on those things for sure and give myself my flowers here and there and work on the mental health aspect of it. But at 17, I was definitely like, you're not good enough and all that. So
where do you think that came from? Like, was that from your parents? Was that from a coach? Was that from your brother? Because, like, probably started from something.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's like nature versus nurture in a way. I'm a big believer on the nurture side. But I don't know. I don't think there's a specific thing. I mean, to break it down at its core, right? It's like parents get divorced when you're young. Whatever effect that has on me. I got my problems up top, but you know how it goes.
How old were you when that happened? If you don't mind me asking.
No, yeah, you can ask whatever you want. Second grade, I think. First grade, maybe. So pretty young.
Okay.
Which I would almost, I don't know if I would prefer that, but I had no idea what was going on, right? Like, my sister was a little bit older, probably hit her the hardest.
Biological sister?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I just think kind of like the broken home family dynamic, you kind of veer in whatever way you so choose. And for me, like, I've always kind of had that work ethic of just go as hard as you can. So, and I barely remember my parents getting divorced, so maybe there's something in there.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm not too sure.
Okay. But you've always had some self-doubt. And would you say that you work through your self-doubt just by working harder? Like, you just kind of tell yourself, like, not good enough, not hard enough, and so you just do more, and that's kind of how you, like, cope with the self-doubt? Or talk to me about that a little bit.
Probably, right? I mean, that makes sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, yes and no, because I'll wake up some days and be like, I'm not good enough, work harder.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'm like, I feel great today, you're doing it great. Like, keep. I think the thing for me is always just keep your head down and work, and whatever comes from it will be fine. Like, just keep your head down and keep working. And eventually, hopefully, maybe you'll be happy with it, but you'll get to a spot where the hard work paid off, right? So the days of self-doubt, I think something, again, as I've gotten older, it's you're going to have shitty days, just let them pass. And that's some maturing in the gym for me. Is I used to go into the gym, and if I didn't have it that day, I'm like, I'm still going to get this workout in. I don't care, right? Like, which I think is a good mindset to have. But when you're competitive in a way and you're doing that all the time, it's almost like, all right, I'm actually going to take today off and then come in tomorrow and hit my workout way harder and actually get benefit from it, right? So if I'm going to come in and half-ass a leg workout today, there's nothing that's going to come from it. If I take the day off, rest, recover, and like get my mindset right, come in tomorrow and crush it, like, what's more beneficial, right? Like, what do you think? You're a personal trainer. What are your thoughts on that one?
I mean, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I think that shows some maturation, right? You said that you're 25 now, and, 17-year-old Nico definitely wouldn't have done that.
No.
Or maybe we were talking about basketball at that time, but I'm guessing your mentality was much different back then.
For sure.
As a mental performance coach and as a personal trainer, I definitely would advise that you take rest days instead of just overtraining and working out every single day, because as you know now, there is such a thing as overtraining and constantly being in more of a catabolic state, i.e. breaking down your muscle. And if you're never resting, you're actually never allowing your body to enter an anabolic state. So you can't really effectively engage in muscle protein synthesis, right? If you're not resting ever.
Yeah.
So that's super important first and foremost.
Yeah.
But then from a mental perspective too, right? Mental burnout is a real thing,
For sure.
right? Like, maybe you're motivated to work out all the time. Maybe you're not. I'm usually motivated to work out. Sometimes I'm not. And then sometimes it comes down to discipline over motivation to work out, even on days that you're tired or whatever. But I would say that definitely resting in that case is the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
So how did you come to that realization? Are you working with like a therapist, a mental performance coach, a personal trainer, just something that like life has taught you? Like how did you, because it sounds like you're definitely viewing your physical and mental activity through a better lens now. So how did you learn that?
I think getting out here in terms of you move across the country and you're away from your family and loved ones. I had my brother, which is nice, right? But it's still figuring out your own path and your own life for yourself. And I think him and I have a good understanding of that. Like, I'm here if you need me, but like figure your shit out. Like, we're both adults. We got to grow up at some point, right? So
tough love, kind of.
Yeah. Yes and no. But what I was going to say is I think I just found that through curiosity, because I like to read a lot, but self-help books, whatever it is, fiction, nonfiction, whatever you may choose. But if I have a thought or a feeling, I want to know why I think and feel that way, right? And that can be emotional, physical, in a relationship, right? Whatever it may be. And I think, again, that just goes with like the maturing part of it, especially like 25 hit me like a truck. It was like, all right, frontal lobes developed, and I feel that immediately compared to like a couple of years ago, even, it's like, wow, like, am I an adult now? Makes me sick to my stomach.
Yes and no. I mean, I agree with you. But it's to the point I was making earlier about like getting older and not caring as much. Getting older, obviously, that frontal lobe is a little bit more developed. That prefrontal cortex, you're making better decisions. Whereas before, you probably weren't making the best decisions about like alcohol and partying and
anything,
doing different things like jumping off the third balcony into the pool and all these kind of things. So maybe you're not fully developed in that prefrontal lobe
Which
yet.
I will be doing, yeah. I'll get that on camera.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be the intro or the outro. And hopefully there's not an ambulance involved.
Backflip off the third balcony into the pool.
Yeah.
I know my brother would be thinking the same thing.
Yeah. We'll submit that to your, whatever that is you're going to later today.
Yes.
A few moments later.
I do the best I can with the setup that I have, right? I don't have exactly. I don't have, I'm in a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment right now. My roommate's moving out. I'm probably just going to take over the rent for the whole thing because, as I mentioned, this place is $27.50 a month. For I've been looking for new apartments, and there's like 1-bedroom apartments that go for that around here. Yeah. And I'm like, well, first of all, moving's a fucking pain in the ass, and second of all, if my roommate moves out, I can just move all this shit in the bedroom. Yeah. But even then, it's
that'd be sweet. Yeah.
Even then, there's like helicopters flying overhead. You can't do anything about that. So, I already tried to do like the soundproof paneling and stuff. It's it's best, do the best you can.
It's kind of nice though, right? It's like it's funny. We were actually just watching a video my buddy sent me the other day, and it's like, who was on it? Bradley Martin's on it. It's like everybody, all these famous influencers and podcasters, Joe Rogan's on it. And it's like their first few episodes, their first few posts. Yeah. And you're like, damn, like that's this, right? And then eventually it got to a level where they're in a studio and it's all that stuff. So
that's the thing is, you probably know who Mr. Beast is, right?
Yeah, he was in that video too.
Yeah, so that kind of guy. So he is, very sort of famously quoted as saying like, just start, right? Nobody's going to watch your first fucking episode. Yeah. Nobody's going to watch it. Yep. You're going to have no subscribers. Nobody's going to watch it. It's going to suck. Yep. By your 10th episode, probably nobody's still going to be watching. But hopefully it sucks a little bit less, right? By your 50th episode, you might have a few subscribers, and as long as you got a little bit better each time, it's going to be resembling something like semi-decent at that point. Yeah. And then, by your 100th episode or whatever, like as long as you've gotten a little bit better each time, whether that's your video editing, whether that's your social charisma, your talking skills, your eye contact, the ideas that you have for your videos, your fucking editing, whatever it is, like you're going to start to develop some momentum as long as you got a little bit better each time. But if you look back, even if I look back at the first couple of podcast episodes I did, what we're doing right now is already astronomically better. Yeah. The equipment's better, my questions are better, my engagement is better, the camera angle is better, my video editing skills are better. So it's like as long as you keep getting better every time, you're eventually going to end up with like a professional quality product.
Name of the game, right?
With anything.
Yeah.
With anything.
I couldn't agree more.
Your first workout in the gym is going to suck. We know this as a personal trainer and from personal experience. Yeah. But by your 500th workout, your physique is going to be probably pretty good or significantly better than it was. And, your technique is better. It's like that with anything in life.
Totally agree.
From a philosophical standpoint.
Totally agree. And you've learned so much.
So much. That
was my first thought when you said you've done 32.
Yeah, this is episode number 32.
My first thought, I'm not even kidding, was like, you've probably learned so much from 1 to 32.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So it's cool. And I enjoy doing this. It's like a hobby for me, right? I'm not monetizing this yet. Yeah. I do some one-on-one coaching, some mental performance coaching, so that generates a little bit of income for me. Yeah. But a lot of times with really any business, and this is included in that, sometimes it's 2 to 3 to 5 years legitimately of working on a business until it becomes profitable. 3 to 5 years, and that's doing it full time. Yeah. If you are, I'm not even going to say lucky, if you stick with it. I don't really believe in the whole failure. I don't really believe in the word failing. It's kind of like
more so.
If you either succeed or you learn something. As long as you succeed or you learn something.
I think I literally said something like that on the way over here.
Right. So
if you learned, it's still
if you learn
success.
something, right? Exactly. Yeah. You're going to go through different iterations. I'm in the process of recording and releasing what I'm calling a professional development product or a master class. In other words, a product that I can sell to people so that they can learn mental performance skills and how to apply them to their life and their athletic pursuits.
Love it.
I'm already on the third version of it because the first version was trash.
As it usually is.
As it usually is. But the only way that you can get to the better version is by doing the trash version first, because that's how you, One of my favorite posts I've seen on social media recently is first start, then refine, basically. And it was like somebody drawing a picture of a circle, and it was like the most kindergarten looking circle you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. But it was a circle, right? It was terrible, but then next to it was like a perfect circle, and you can't get to the perfect circle until you draw the shitty circle first. You literally can't. You can't skip any of the steps. You can't just pick up a basketball and then be an NBA player.
It's crazy to me how simple that is. But it's so challenging.
Yeah.
It sounds so simple. And you hear it.
Yep.
And we talk about it.
Yep.
And it sounds so simple.
Yep.
But it's so challenging.
And I'm glad you said that, because the literal title of the last episode of this podcast that was released with Janelle, who we were just talking about earlier, the title of the episode is "It's Not Easy, It's Simple."
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
And that was a kind of frame of mind that she dropped in the last episode, where it's like, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be extremely challenging. There's going to be a lot of hard work involved. But the actual process, if you boil it down to what you need to do, is very simple.
Yes. I agree with that 100%.
Just do one thing and then make it a little bit better each time. Whether that's a workout, whether that's a business, whether that's cooking, whether it's painting, whether it's getting in a relationship, whether it's public speaking. It's not easy. It's simple.
Exactly, right? And it's the consistency, too. It's just show up every day.
Show up.
And I think that's what the just exercise for me in general has shifted my mindset that way. And then as you, like you're doing right now, business approach, very similar.
Yep.
It's not overly and I think David Goggins says it, but he's like, everybody knows what they have to do to get to a certain point. Like most people know, I would argue, eat less food, work out a little bit more, and you're probably going to lose some weight. Most people know that, I would argue.
Yeah, correct.
But nobody does it.
Right.
So
because people don't have the discipline or the mentality to do it, even though they know what to do. Yeah. Most people know how to make money. Yeah. Don't buy Starbucks every fucking day. Yeah. Work a little bit extra. Yeah. Most people know how to get good at doing something. It's just they don't want to do it because it requires so much effort and discipline.
Discomfort too, though, right? You kind of get caught up in this
100%.
This comfort zone, and you're kind of gliding, and days are easier now.
So easy to stay there.
So easy. That's part of kind of my thing too, right? Is since I've been out here, just getting comfortable, being uncomfortable is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
And the growth that comes with that. Yep. And that can be exercise, that can be personal challenges.
Yep.
My new one is for me, think less and do more. Don't even think about it, just do it. Whether that's For me, maybe I see a girl in the bar and I'm like, she's cute. I'm going to think about talking to her for 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden I have all these situations.
For sure.
She's going to say this. She's going to say that.
100%.
If I go up and talk to her, I'm like, hi, where are you from? How you doing? Like,
yep.
All that thinking is, all that nonsense is gone. And that's my analogy, but you could use that for anything.
No,
right?
I mean, I've suffered from the same thing. A lot of men do, right? It's very common. I call that paralysis by overanalysis.
Love it.
Whereas instead of just like not thinking about anything and just going over there, you're like, what if I say this? And what if she says that? And whatever. And then by the time you are done thinking about it, some other guy's over there talking to her, or she's left, or whatever. There's like this TikTok where, I don't know if you've probably seen this one. It's a fairly famous one where it's this guy and he's at the bar with his bro. And he's like, he's like, that girl over there in the black, she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And then his friend is like, go talk to her. And he's like, no.
Yeah, 100%, dude. That's us every night, right? My boy and I were texting.
It's like, just fucking go over there.
My boy texted me the other day to go out. And he's like, you want to go to the bar? I was like, I think I said no, but he was like, come on, we could go like look at 10 girls and not talk to a single one. I'm like, we'll leave with 12 damn she's bad, 6 eye contacts made, and no girls talking.
Yeah. You know what the funny thing is about that is that I've learned, and this is part of, again, there's a recurring theme here about kind of the getting older and, you know, caring less, is that I've learned through a lot of this, you know, going up and talking to women, because since we're talking about that, it's a very common thing and it's difficult for a lot of people, myself included. I have learned that the feeling of regret is exponentially worse than the feeling of, I'm not even going to call it rejection, because like, let's say we call it rejection.
Well, you learn from it again.
Yeah. If I go over there and I say something to her and she's not interested in talking to me, or she's like just kind of a bitch about it or whatever, like, because we've all had that happen, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's the scenario that we put in our head. That's why we don't go over there, because like we're like, oh, she's, you know, not going to think I'm attractive, or she doesn't want to talk to me or whatever.
Call me short and ugly.
Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is. I've got plenty of stories. Maybe we'll save those for a different
day.
That's
another podcast.
And that's
we can
another.
Sit down and go through this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you know, I have done that so many times, and I've averted going over there so many times that I've learned that the feeling of regret will sit with me for so much longer and feel so much worse,
for sure,
than if I just go over there and say something. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I'd rather have tried and not succeeded than not have tried at all.
And you know what it is? Knowing versus not.
Right.
Right? Because the unknown is the regret. Oh,
right.
well, it could, what if it went like this? Or what if it went like that?
Yep.
You have all these what ifs.
Yep.
If you go over there and she tells you to fuck off, you know.
Right, exactly. Like, all right, well.
Yeah, cool.
And even if you got rejected, I still think it's a confidence boost for me, because I still went over there. Yeah. And I guarantee you there's like 50 other guys 100%. That are jealous of the fact that I went over there and said something and they didn't.
Yeah.
It's like when you're out there killing it on the dance floor, and it's always the guys on the sideline that are like giving you the weird look or whatever. It's like, because they're too jealous or shy or nervous or self-conscious to go out there and dance on the dance floor.
Yeah, if they're judging you, right, they're like...
Right, exactly. Whatever. It's and to turn this into kind of a business or, you know, social media analogy, it's always the people in the comments, like the people posting from like burner accounts from their mom's basement kind of shit. It's always the negative stuff, right? We're out here grinding, we're posting, you know, on our social media, our workout videos, we're building businesses and stuff. And it's always like the negative little in the comments, these people, you know, chipping away at you. Those are the people that are just sad and jealous, not doing anything with their lives, that are the ones that are like hating, where it's like, we're out here trying to make this work.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. To piggyback off that a little bit, I think it's interesting too when you have friends or people that you know and they're some type of hater in a way, right? Because I try to keep my mindset very positive, and like, if you're going for something great, I'm wishing you the best with it, whatever it is. If you care about it, if you're passionate about it, I wish you the best of luck. I want everybody to succeed. And then you get to that point where people don't want you to be better than them. And then you get to a point where maybe like, I post a lot of gym stuff, right? So put a lot of work in. So I'm going to post my physique. I'm going to post my runs. I'm going to post, and whatever people slide up, if I get hate, I'll say I don't care. I probably do a little bit, right? It might affect me for 10 minutes, but I'm like, damn, this is a mindset shift too, though. I'm like, I wonder why they would say that to me. Like, what's going on with them that they would be like, you're an ass, whatever they say, like, you're a douchebag, which I am, but like, I get it. Right?
Jealousy.
Right? I don't know. Maybe. Because nobody who has a better physique than me has ever said anything to me.
You hit the nail on the head.
Right? Like,
100%.
Nobody who's faster than me, honestly, no runners at all have ever said anything about running.
Yep.
It's like the people who haven't done it, the people who, so.
It's like that with anything.
Yeah.
The people who are super successful, like business owners, are not the people that are going to be talking down to you and posting. They're going to be encouraging you.
For sure.
It's always the people that have accomplished more because they know what it takes, because they were where you are. And it's the people that haven't done anything that are the ones that are they're trying to drag you down to their level is what it is. Yeah. And those, friends that you say that, I don't know if these are like acquaintances or just sort of people that you know, those are the type of people that you will eventually learn, if you're not already, that you will begin to distance yourself from more and more, because you don't want to be like those people.
Well, especially probably over more like a year ago, right? And I mean, just the amount of personal evolution and how much I've evolved and truly tried to care less about other people's opinions. And there's a couple ways I could go with that. But when I first started posting stuff, right, that's when it's the hardest, and you're already doubting yourself and whatever you're posting. And then you get a little bit of hate, and it's like, fuck the right. I shouldn't be posting this, right? Whatever it may be. But then like you just turn it off and you keep doing it, and then people kind of shift their perspective to, I have this idea of who you are. And now you post all the time. So, you post on Instagram a lot. That's your identity. Instead of like you post once, maybe a year, like a trip to Cancun. Right. So you kind of change your identity in that way. Another thing on that note that I put some thought into recently, because I'm just trying to post more on social media, TikTok. We'll probably try to shift my Instagram a little bit more too. But why don't I post certain things? And in my head, I'm like, because somebody else is thinking something about me, right? So what's stopping me from doing it is somebody else's opinion or what they're thinking. Like, that just pisses me off. Just saying that out loud, I'm like, you're not going to do something because of somebody else's opinion, just bothers me.
Some bottom feeder, no doubt.
Whatever it may be, right? And I think it's more challenging when the people closer to you have those negative thoughts, which thankfully I don't really have. I mean, everybody's going to make a comment, right? I'm probably one of those people too, where I see somebody, I'm like, oh, saw you did this, right? Like, talk a little shit. But at the end of the day, I think most people in my life want what's best for me. And I think, again, you could bring that to who you surround yourself with, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All
right, let's pivot here. So we're officially at halftime.
Nice.
We're going to get a couple more fun questions for you, and then we'll kind of go into the second half of our main slate here. Cool?
Perfect.
All right, so first question is, what is your go-to guilty pleasure TV show? Like the one that you'd never admit to watching unless you were asked about it on a podcast.
My number one is definitely Entourage, but I don't think that's very... Like, I'd admit that any day of the week.
Yeah, it's not like guilty pleasure. Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's anything I like that people would be like, what the fuck? How I Met Your Mother is great, but I don't think that's very...
Yeah.
I mean, Love Island, I guess.
Okay.
Love Island's actually perfect. I don't even know why I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
I'm so locked in right now.
Yeah.
And it makes me sick to my fucking stomach.
Yeah. How many seasons of that have they done, by the way?
I have no idea. I watched a little bit of last season, and then this season, my brother, Anthony, and then a buddy of ours. I mean, my brother's girlfriend watches it. We live together, right?
Yeah.
So she'll put it on, and we'll be like, we don't want to watch this. 10 minutes in, we're like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life, right? And
we're talking about the guys and the relationships and what's
why
happening?
the fuck would he do? Yeah, we're all in, dude. It's so funny.
You're like walking past and you're like peeking in, like pretending like you're not paying attention, but you're actually like listening.
I'm like, wait, can you pause it so I could go to the bathroom?
Yeah. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, Love Island is definitely a guilty pleasure for me too.
Yeah.
All right, second question here. You get to build your dream Hangout crew. But it has to include one cartoon character, one reality TV star, and one historical figure. Who's in your squad?
I'm going to go Bugs Bunny. Athlete.
He's a G. He's a G.
Athlete, yeah.
Yeah.
What was the next one?
One reality TV star. Kind of a...
Oh, Kim K.
Okay.
Why not?
Might as well.
Yeah, right. Shoot my shot.
Yeah. Okay.
And the last one was historical
figure.
Who could wingman me with Kim K? I don't know. Does O.J. Simpson count as a historical figure?
I guess so. I guess technically anybody's a historical figure.
Right?
You can go with O.J.
That'd be fucking elite crew right there.
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny, Kim K, and O.J. Simpson. It's crazy.
That's quite the squad. Yeah,
I don't know if that's hurting my chances or helping.
We won't question it. We'll just go with it. Mm-hmm. It is what it is.
Fuck it. That's where my head went.
All right. Last question. If your life had to be a cringy but oddly inspiring 2000s pop song as its theme, what would it be?
Another one where I was...
So we're thinking probably like Britney Spears era, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC.
My head's at like Jason Derulo.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe... Yeah, Down by Jason Derulo.
Okay. How's that one go? Are you much of a singer? Can you sing that for us?
I don't know if I have that in me right now. You don't know that
Are you
song?
a karaoke guy?
I was a karaoke guy last week.
Okay.
On a Wednesday night, I ended up out and about karaoke.
All right.
That's with alcohol in the system. We could do another one of those where a couple bevs on the show, you'll get a lot out of me. I could promise you
that would be pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Down by Jason Derulo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. We'll just go with it.
Yeah.
Would you work out to that, or not? Is that on a workout playlist?
I'd work out to anything.
Okay.
Depends on my mood.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's get into the second segment here. Mm-hmm. So, you work out a lot. You've got lofty goals, endurance athlete, training for potentially an Ironman. You're weightlifting. You're in the gym. You're extremely motivated, I'm guessing, most of the time. But sometimes that motivation is going to take a dip, right? It's natural, like highs and lows, right?
Sure.
When your motivation dips or distractions like we talked about with social media or just anything that's going on in your life, when that gets a little loud, right? Mm-hmm. What helps you stay locked in on your goals?
It's a great question. I think for me, because I do get distracted pretty easily, honestly, going out, maybe a little bit of partying. I've been better about it, but definitely majority of my 20s have been more party and play more so than locked in and dialed. But which is funny because I get a lot of that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Which we could talk about, but I think for me it's like why'd you start? Which is a big one. Why'd you sign up? And that's one for me too, where when I sign up for a race, when it's in writing and I know I have it the day of, when I know I have it June 1st, it solidifies, get ready, it's coming up. Even if it's a month out, 2 months out, whatever it is, which I don't think I've signed up for anything with too much notice just because I'm very live my life day by day kind of person. You have it in writing and it's like, are you going to show up on that day and not be ready, be prepared? That's kind of the hard part about not having anything, not having a goal, right? It could be anything, it could be business wise. If you don't have something you want to achieve, it's easy to get comfortable and just kind of go through life and whatever. But for me, when I'm having those days, when I'm going through those adjustments, it's pretty quick because if I go out pretty hard, if I go on a little bender, whatever it is, I wake up and I'm like, all right, I got it out of my system. Like, let's lock back in for a couple weeks. Let's sign up for something else. Like, have your fun too, because again, my first summer out here last year, I'm 24, right? I'm in San Diego. I'm from Connecticut. Like, it's a completely different environment. I want to have fun. I have some type of goals, but I want to enjoy myself too. And that's been a pretty big split for me is I think I'm shifting more now towards kind of getting locked in and everything. But a big shift for me has always been you're young. have fun, enjoy your life. And the other one is like, you're young, lock the fuck in, work your ass off, and get to where you want to be. All right. And it's tough because if you look at it from a future perspective of in 10 years you want to be set, great. But if you look at it from a perspective of tomorrow's not promised, which one do you go with, right? Like, such a bad and good thing for me is like, as soon as I have a couple drinks, I'm like, tomorrow's not promised. I'll get fucked up tonight and spend every dollar I have. I'm not really like that, but like the thought definitely goes through my head, you know? And I wake up in the morning and I'm like, gotta lock the fuck in.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like maybe just kind of connecting with your why a little bit. Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah. I veered off there.
Yeah, that's okay. And it ties into what you're committed to.
For sure.
Right? So if you're committed to something, whether it's a marathon or whether it's an Ironman by 30 or whether it's a bodybuilding competition or whatever it is that you might be getting, into next.
Yeah.
Whether you start a business or posting on social media more, when you commit to something, and it sounds like writing it down is a great way for you to do that, whether it's a hard commitment in terms of like a race registration kind of a thing, or writing, like I have a whiteboard in my room, for example. I do like to-do lists, or like this month I want to do XYZ or whatever.
How do you like that?
It works very effectively.
Yeah.
It's super effective.
Yeah. I need to incorporate.
One of the best ways to get more done is to make lists and or to set like short and or long-term goals for yourself and like work towards those. Because once you write something down, it becomes much more tangible than this idea that's floating around up in your head. And you can reverse engineer how you get there. Like, for example, a lot of the things that I say sound ridiculous to some people that are not as ambitious as I am. For example, when I started this podcast, I said I wanted to do 1 episode a week for the next year, for a year.
Yeah.
So essentially like 50 episodes in a year kind of a thing. And most people who I say that to are like, well, that's really ambitious, or like nobody's really ever directly said like, oh, you're not going to be able to do that. But I'm like, here we are, episode number 32.
Yeah.
And so I've got like a couple months left. I might not hit 50, but even if I hit like 40 or 45, that's still pretty fucking good.
But you set that goal here, so it's like as close as you get is the win.
Yep.
If you didn't set that goal, maybe you do 20.
Right, exactly. Or not at all, because a lot of people, I think you're probably familiar with Alex Hormozy.
Of course. Yeah,
right?
Big fan.
Big, kind of inspirational guy in the business and kind of philosophical realm in today's day and age. I get a lot of my stuff from him. He basically says like, set your goals so lofty that even if you fall short, and a lot of this stuff is recycled from like ancient philosophers and stuff like that.
That's the same thing that we've talked about though, because if you look at people who've made it, there's a common denominator there.
Right.
And it's just like what we're saying now is, all right, if you set your goals really high and you fall short, you may be upset that you didn't hit your goal, but you're a lot further ahead than you would have been. Right.
Yeah.
So same thing.
Yeah. So like I said, I set out to do like 50 podcast episodes in a year, 1 episode a week. I'm pretty much on track to do that.
Good for you.
The other thing is I'm 37 right now, and I just finished paying off all my student loan debt. Right, I finished my master's degree a couple of years ago. I set a goal to have like a net worth of $1 million by the time I'm 40. Right, I got 2.5 years to do that. Maybe I'll get there, maybe I won't, but I have that set as a goal for myself. And when I've told that to some other people, they kind of like, nobody's, again, because I surround myself with people who I are like-minded, so I'm not really around a lot of people that are like degenerates at this point anymore in my life who would really talk down about that goal. But I think Drake also has said certain things where it's like, if you are talking to people that think that the ideas that are coming out of your mouth are like ridiculous, then you're not surrounding yourself with the right people. Like, you should be surrounding yourself with people where when I say that to you, you're like, oh yeah, like you could do that. Like, that kind of a thing. And
but
like,
why can't you?
Right, exactly.
Like why? Yeah.
And then when you have that goal set, right? If I say I want to have a net worth of $1 million by the time I'm 40, I can reverse engineer that. What do I mean by that? I mean, by the time I'm 39, I want to have this amount of net worth. By the time I'm 38, I want to have this amount of net worth. You can start saving and investing and, realizing that my business needs to make me this much money by the time I'm this age if I want to get there by this time. Yeah. So you literally it's called a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yep.
If you've heard that, by the way, also. Yep. We could tie this back into the whole thing with women and stuff. This is all a different conversation, but it's like, if you believe that something is going to happen and you create that vision and you write that down and you create that future for yourself, all you then have to do is just go out and live it. So that is true among any aspect of life. And you're going to do the same thing with your Ironman. If you set out to do that by the time you're 30, you will do that by the time you are 30.
The power of manifestation is pretty beautiful.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I think another thought on that, just again, is the time's going to go by either way.
It is.
You're going to hit 40 no
100%.
matter what. So you might as well set a goal and, okay, you didn't hit it. Who gives a fuck? Right? Like the time's going to go by either way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think that's a good thought to have there. But I love that. Yeah.
That's exactly a thought that I had last year too. And I just went through a breakup last year and I was kind of just like, lock the fuck in kind of thing. I'm going to be upset. Maybe I'm not going to be in a good mood. It doesn't matter. The time is going to pass anyways. I can either just sit and mope around and like feel sorry for myself, like a victim, like, oh, woe is me. Or guess what? Today is going to pass. This week is going to pass. This month is going to pass. If I do something with that time, it's going to pass anyways. And a year from now, I can look back and be like, cool, look what I did in the last year.
Yeah. I think with that too, I mean, just go back a little bit. Nobody's coming to save you.
Nope.
One. And nobody gives a shit. Unfortunately, right? Like, I try to be there for people when they're going through stuff. People have told me their problems. I've told plenty of people my problems. And at its core, how much are you really going to help me if I tell you about my issues? Like, what could you really do other than give me a shoulder to cry on? It's in you, and you have to take that and go and do what you know is uncomfortable. And maybe you don't have it today. Maybe you're sad, but put a smile on, go to work, and do your thing. So,
yeah. So to that point of kind of ownership mentality and doing it by yourself, as far as you, right, what's one mindset, habit, or routine that has helped you the most when you're going through tough times? And this could be either during training or just day to day. So like mindset, habit, or routine that has helped you the most kind of moving through your life.
I think the difficulty, again, as I've gotten older, I'm learning these things. But when it gets challenging, and Chris Williamson said it really good, if you're familiar. And I love this quote, but it's like, this is what hard feels like. This is where most people stop. Like, you're not most people, just keep going. Right. So I think on that note, even to tie it in with being honest with who you are, if you say you're going to wake up tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., don't negotiate with yourself. Wake up at 5 a.m. If you negotiate with yourself, you started your day off and you lied to yourself. Like, don't lie to yourself. Like, you're already not going in the right direction, right? If you tell yourself you're going to do something, do it. Just because it's challenging, so what, right? So I think a mindset that I have is really just show up. And it can tie into even those days when you're not feeling it, just show up and do it anyway. That's how I always have that thought. Just go in, give it everything you have that day. It might not be 100% of what you have, and I feel like I'm rarely at 100%. But if I can only go up to 80% and I give it all 80%, I gave it 100% of what I had, right? So, and then that's sometimes when I'm, again, like with a race, right? If I don't cross the finish line absolutely exhausted, I'm not happy with myself. I'm more so like, the time doesn't matter. But if I have anything left in the tank, I'm like, you fucked up. Especially like an organized race, I'm like, you need to go all out. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. That's how I feel.
Okay, so your mindset, habit, or routine is basically just showing up consistently, being disciplined, even if you don't have 100%. Give it your best effort pretty much every day, as much as you can.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a great mindset on a day-to-day basis. And then also that's going to be how you guarantee that you get the most out of your life.
For sure.
Because if we keep stacking up these little blocks of I gave it my best effort every single day, even on a day that you're fucking exhausted, maybe you show up to the gym and you don't have enough energy to work out, but all you do is some mobility and you walk on the treadmill and you're like, that's all I got today. I'm fucking exhausted. Yeah, but you still did something. You showed up. You kept that habit, that streak going. That's still important. You're going to keep stacking up those blocks. There's a big misconception about what consistency looks like. And again, these pictures on Instagram and stuff like that, where it's like, people think consistency is 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%. It's not. That's not how it is. Consistency is like 80% today, 70% tomorrow. Maybe I've got a couple days of 100%, then I'm tired, and then it's like 60%. It's like this kind of fluctuating graph of, but it's like, guess what? I'm showing up every single day. I'm not going to have 100% every single day. Nobody is. That's a myth, right? But as long as you're showing up every day, that's how you make progress. That's how you stay the kind of straight and narrow, keep making progress.
I totally agree. And I think being true to yourself, right? If I tell you Sunday morning, we're going to run 8 miles, I'll be there. You can bet your ass I'm going to be there. I might show up hungover. I might hate my life, but I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
So I really try to be a man of my word in relation to that. Don't go back on anything I say, and really, that's a big one for me too.
Yeah. To other people and to yourself, like you said, don't compromise with yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it helps to have accountability partners, sure. Because, like, if you tell Anthony that you're going to show up at 8 a.m. tomorrow and then you don't show up or whatever, like, makes you look like an asshole.
Well, what kind of person are you, right? And then you get a different perspective on that person too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and then to go back to Hormozy one more time, he has said, like, you can separate yourself from 99% of other people just by continuing when it gets hard. Because, like, a lot of people have started a podcast, but they do, like, a couple of episodes, or maybe they don't, and then it gets hard. A lot of people start working out, and then they stop because it gets hard. A lot of people started a business, but then they stop. The list goes on and on and on. But, like, if you continue doing it when it gets hard, that's when most people give up. And you can literally separate yourself from 99% of other people just by continuing. And again, to go back to what I said earlier about what Janelle said, it's not easy, but it's simple. Just keep showing up.
Yeah. I love it.
How has your definition of confidence evolved as you've taken on harder, more solo challenges?
I mean, we'll go right back to Hormozy on this one, right? It's the undeniable stack of proof, right? That you are who you say you are in a way.
100%.
I think you need to believe in yourself. And I'm a big fake it till you make it guy. I have never really known what I wanted to do, especially after high school, after college. It's like, all right, what do I do next? And that's tough because, even to bring it back to the thing we were talking about earlier, how do you get a job with experience when somebody needs to take a risk on you? So you don't have any experience. You don't have that confidence because you don't know what you're going into. It's the unknown. So you almost have to fake it. Like, you have to be like, I got this, right? And if you don't, I think self-confidence in every way, you don't know, right? You don't know what's going to happen with this podcast, but you're confident that it's going to get you to where you want to be. Again, what's the worst that's going to happen? Time's going to go by anyway. So,
and I'll have learned a bunch about video editing and met a bunch of cool people and expanded my social media and whatever. Like,
it's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
Right? Look at the positives. What are the negatives?
What did I learn?
Yeah. But confidence for me, because again, I have days where I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? I'm in the gym and I'm like, there's no point. Why am I running? I'm never going to be a Boston Marathon qualifier. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And then you look at I feel better about myself. My mental health is better. I enjoy the challenge. This is something difficult. If I can do this, maybe I can do other things. All the good that comes with it should overflow against the negative, in my opinion. So, fake it till you make it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think. We'll see.
We will see. Mm-hmm. We will see. I totally agree with you. I mean, if you look back at who you were even 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, like, you're astronomically different than who you are right now. And to take that further, look at who you are now and who you're going to be in 6 months and a year and 2 years. Yeah. A lot of people think that they're not going to change that much in the next couple of years. But then when I ask people the same question about who they were, 5 or 10 years ago, they're astronomically different than who they were. Not everybody, but most people. Yeah. And it's this kind of cognitive disconnect where I'm like, okay, well, if you're astronomically different than who you were 5 to 10 years ago, what makes you think that you won't be astronomically different in 5 to 10 years from now? Mm-hmm. Because you're probably still evolving at the same rate, if not at a faster rate. So what makes you think that you're not going to be astronomically better than, because if I asked you, like, who were you 2 years ago? You said earlier on this podcast that you'd look at people like they were crazy. Yeah. If they had suggested that you were going to run a marathon or whatever. And now look at what your goals are. So imagine what your goals are going to be in 2 years. Mm-hmm. Very different in a positive way.
I agree. I think it's funny to go off that too, because running in a way, a lot of people, especially 2 years ago, I mean, I don't know what my persona was, what I gave off, but I got a lot of questions on why I ran so much when I started running more. It's kind of funny too. I like to think about this one. Is like I was running a lot and people would be like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, probably not, but yeah, I'm good. But like you go out every weekend, you party, you drink. Are you okay? Like that's not in our society. That's not a question, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you go out and you're social and you drink, which isn't good for you, but I have a good time, so I still do it. But are you okay isn't a question. If you go and you're healthy and you're like fully indulging in something, it's like, what's wrong with him? Right? I think the other thing with the running, because yeah, I enjoy it, but it's expanded my mind in a way of, like you just said, this is challenging and I can do it. And everything that's come along with it is you can do challenging things. You don't need to be stuck in the same comfort zone. And a hard run is uncomfortable. What did you do today that was uncomfortable? I mean, maybe something, maybe not. Maybe you were comfortable all day. If I go run 8 miles as hard as I can, that's going to fucking suck. And that's a pretty good way to like go to bed and be like, I did something really challenging today for me.
And you grew because of it.
A lot.
And if you stack up those little growths every single day, that's why you are so different than how you were.
Yeah.
And like I said, there are people that are very complacent and very stagnant, and they don't change very much. But I think most people change a fair amount. I think it's healthy to change, but it requires getting comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's where the growth occurs.
100%. And to go off that, the community you surround yourself with. So in a running way, right? If you don't like to run, don't run. Nobody's going to make you run. Do whatever you want. But I think the community itself is very like-minded, right? So if you have certain goals, if you're an entrepreneur, a businessman, whatever it may be, a lot of people I surround myself with in this running community who do these hard things are better at their work. They're better at their entrepreneurship, whatever they're pursuing. Their mindset is similar to mine. So I'm not saying that you have to run to get that, but I think even to tie it back into who you surround yourself with, is you're doing these challenging things and then you realize you can do them. And then these people may give you input. You start running with people who are good at what they do. They have a different perspective and it changes your mindset. And then all of a sudden you're with a group of guys who want to be the best version of themselves. And they have these huge, massive goals. And then all of a sudden your goals get higher because he's not better than me. First of all, I want to be faster than you. And second of all, I want to be better than you in every aspect of life, right? So that's like the male ego and the I'm better than you complex thing. But I think there's something going on there where people who push themselves physically tend to push themselves mentally too. So
yeah, I think it's just a mindset thing overall. And I don't even necessarily want to say it's ego. I think it's just you become like the people that you surround yourself with. So if you surround yourself with a bunch of entrepreneurs who are starting businesses, it's not even that I want my business to be better than yours. It's just that I see that you can do it. And so I want to be able to do it too.
Yeah.
And maybe mine will become better or maybe not, but it's not like at least for me, it's not like a testosterone competition kind of a thing. It's like, I'm going to help you build your business up and you're going to help me build my business up. Like you just, the people that you work out with, like they're going to help you work out better and you're going to help them work out better. It's just, for me, it's not like an ego thing necessarily. It's just, you just become like who you surround yourself with.
Maybe like healthy
competition for sure,
yeah. Right? Because I run with my best friends, so I'm like, we love each other.
Sure.
When we're running, I'm like, who's better, me or you? Both of us. I know that. And if one of us wins, the other's a little bit like, you did great, you killed it. But it keeps you, it pushes you a little more. Yeah,
there's definitely competition. Maybe we'll kind of agree to disagree. Maybe there's some ego in there, and obviously we're very different people, but I don't necessarily think that it's ego that's driving you. Like you just want to be better than yourself.
Maybe like a healthy bit of ego in a way.
Yeah,
I said it kind of negatively.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to level up their discipline but keeps getting stuck in self-doubt?
It's really just showing up to me. Again, we kind of already talked about it. But if you want to level up your discipline, don't go back on your word. What you tell yourself is the most important thing. What you tell others, I think, is pretty important too, because for me, just to relate it again, I told a lot of people I wanted to run a 3:30 marathon. And in my head, I'm at mile 19, and I could slow down, I could stop, but I'm like, I told everybody I want to run a 3:30 marathon. So I think telling people gives you a little bit more of an edge, because they now have this opinion of you, and they're either going to think that you're, I don't want to say loser, but they may think you're exactly who you may be, and you may not get it done. I want to compete in a bodybuilding show. You tell your friends that, and they're like, you can never do that. You're like, well, I'm going to do it. And then 2 weeks go by and you don't do it. And then everybody's like, see, I told you.
Right.
But if you tell everybody that and then you do it, you get a little bit of, all right. Like he credibility, but he said he was going to do something and he did it. I think that's a little bit of a hack in that way. But again, it doesn't necessarily make you more disciplined. So I think that's really just all up top. Like why? Again, why are you doing it? If your alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and all you're thinking about is going back to bed, like what's your why to get up? And that's discipline to me. Is like, it could be anything. It could literally be anything, but you just got to do it.
Okay. So just reconnecting with your why, basically, and just show up even if you don't feel like it.
I think so. And I'll ask you this question too. As a trainer, as a personal trainer, I think it's interesting because I've never been a big believer in thinking people either got it or they don't. And I think you can shift your mindset, but I think some people got it and some people don't. And I think you can shift. I'm curious what you're going to say.
Got what exactly?
That drive, that discipline. Like some people can come in and they're ready to go. They're like, all right, I'm ready to go to work. And some people are like, I don't want to do this. Like, you know, and I think it can shift a little bit, but I think, and that's probably again, nature versus nurture in a way. How did you grow up? Nature wise, I guess, is what are your parents like, whatever. But I think some people come in ready to work, and I think some people are here because it's healthy for them. It's good for them to move. It's good for them to put on muscle. Other people want to be pushed and worked, and that's just a difference of people. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I agree with you that it's nature versus nurture in a lot of ways. How you were brought up, sort of genetics to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. But in the mental performance world, in the sports psychology world, I think that the answer to that question boils down to fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Mm. And the brief definition of those two things is if somebody possesses, and these two things exist on a continuum, right? From, in other words, nobody is completely fixed mindset and nobody is completely growth mindset. You generally fall somewhere on that continuum. Yeah. But generally speaking, a fixed mindset is the belief that you have a certain set of intelligence or abilities that cannot be changed no matter what you do. You were born with them. You've always been that way. No matter what you do, you won't get any better. You can't learn anything. You're very fixed. You're very set. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those people don't have very much drive because they believe that no matter what they do, they're not going to get better and they're not going to change. Whether that's the weight that they are at, whether that's their belief that they can get more comfortable in the weight room, whether that's level of attractiveness, whether it's a business mentality. There's a lot of different ways, mathematical, arithmetic skills. Mm-hmm. A lot of this kind of you can tie into school, right? People believe that they're a certain way. Growth mindset, on the other hand, is the belief that you can absolutely change your intellect and your abilities given effort and dedication and persistence and learning through failure and working with mentors and giving it effort, even if you're not great right now. Mm. And I feel like the people that have more drive and more discipline and more dedication and more motivation to improve are those that believe that they can. Mm. Because if you don't believe that you can improve at anything, why would you bother trying? So you're going to have more of that fixed mentality, that more stagnant, that more just kind of sit around and not really grow mindset, because why would I bother trying? Because I know that I can't improve. Yeah. This is sort of that self-fulfilling prophecy. I think it was Henry Ford, that said it, whether you believe that you can or you can't. Yeah, you're right. If I believe that I can't improve, then I'm going to act in such a way that will prove that I'm correct, because I will not do anything to make myself improve. Yeah. If I believe that I can improve, I'm going to act in such a way that will allow me to improve, and therefore I will also prove myself correct. So that's kind of the long-winded answer, I think, to your question, that some people, and I believe that this can be taught, and this is one thing that I do as a mental performance coach, because I have people that come to me that are very fixed. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not true. You have to reteach them. It's sort of a cognitive learning type of a neuroplasticity. You have to rewire the brain to believe that you can. So that's kind of the long answer to that.
I think that was incredibly well said. And honestly, as soon as you started talking, I was like, yeah, he's right. I think, and you'll probably agree with me on this, is it's harder to get to that, to get out of that fixed mindset for some people than others, right? So that was right. So I like in the client world, some people think that way, some people don't. It's hard to pull that out of them. Is probably more so what but it's possible.
It is. It's absolutely possible. And I know that you've worked with clients that have probably had that, and maybe you didn't have like the terminology to put to it, but you've probably had some people come to you before. Maybe they've never been in shape before, or they've never been able to figure out how to eat healthier. Yeah. And you work with them to say like, I've done this, or I've had clients that have done this, or here's how we're going to do it. And it's one step at a time. Don't overwhelm them. You just do one habit, and then you build another habit on top of that. We could talk about James Clear and the Atomic Habits book, if you've read that one, habit stacking, or 1% better, these kind of things. All the stuff, Nothing changes overnight, right? You're not going to go from having a fixed mindset to having a growth mindset just because I said that. But you absolutely can. It is possible to change from having that kind of like, I'm never going to get better, to believing that you can. The human brain is our most powerful resource. For sure. Like, it's a supercomputer, and it's so untapped. And the neuroplasticity and our ability to learn is just incredible. And so that's, what I truly believe, and I work with people on. So
I respect it.
Yeah. That's kind of my stance on that.
Maybe more so teaching an old dog new tricks. It's harder.
It's harder. The older you get, and the longer that you've believed a certain thing, they kind of, I watch a lot of Andrew Huberman, neuroscientist, and he describes it as kind of like setting a groove, right? Like if you imagine like ice skating or skiing or one of these kind of things, where the more that you like carve through the same path over and over and over and over again, you are going to carve that same path. Yeah. It's really hard to get out of that path and change your course to something else, but it is possible to do.
Yeah, for sure. That's smart. I don't know if I've heard him say that one, but I like that one a lot.
Yeah, you're kind of like creating this groove. And
well, what makes you have to get out of that, right? And for a lot of people, maybe in our industry, it's, if you have older clients, what's their why? Yep. And eventually it's health issues, and eventually it's you need to change your lifestyle. Yep. Eventually it's you're more likely morbidity, mortality, whatever it is, right? You're, all these things. So now your why changes, because if you don't make these lifestyle changes, you're going to die earlier, right? So that's a kick in the ass, right? That would make me probably change some things. That like you're going to
some people are even so set in their ways. People that are alcoholics.
I'm going to die anyway. Yeah.
People that smoke cigarettes, like my uncle, prime example. He drank alcohol and smoked cigarettes his whole life until, the doctors told him that he had like COPD and like fucking lung cancer, or, his liver was failing or whatever.
All the stuff. Yeah.
And it was like, it's not too late to change. Like, yeah, you've done a lot of damage, but his mindset was like, well, this is just kind of how I am, and I'm going to die soon anyway, so I might as well. But it's like you can change those things. And to your point about like our clients coming to us and stuff, a lot of times I think the short answer to that question is that you have to hit some kind of rock bottom. And this is true whether it's like you're in a toxic relationship with somebody and you've been like living with it and it's okay up until this point, or you're super obese and you've not been dealing with too many health problems, but now all of a sudden your doctor tells you that you're going to have a heart attack in like 2 years, or you have like fucking hip replacement surgery, or you, whatever the case is, like you hit rock bottom, and then it's up to it. Like, we can't tell our clients that they need to change. They need to figure that out themselves, and then we help them. But you need to hit that point where you are not okay with it anymore.
I can make recommendations and suggestions. You make decisions.
Right. Until they want to do it.
Yeah.
they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
We can tell them what they need to do, but until that person wants to do it, it will not happen.
Yeah. And I think, again, it's both sides of the spectrum where I'm going to die anyway. So I'm going to live my life however I want. Great. Do whatever you want. Right. I think that's a lot of people's thought when, especially like maybe a generation back, was what if it was wild or not. It was like, I'm going to die anyway. Like, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to do whatever I want. Right. Like, if somebody doesn't care about all those things, what are you going to say and do?
Nothing.
It's on them. Right. Yeah.
There's nothing you can
It's
do.
almost selfish in a way, right? If you have a family and kids and you're not going to take care of your health and you're not going to be around when they grow up, it's selfish. But if you're alone in the world and unfortunately not doing too hot, but you're like, I'm miserable, and I think that's quality of life in a way, and decisions and so many different things that go into play with that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not really selfish in as much anymore, but there's still probably someone that loves that person, hopefully.
Yeah.
Somewhere, whether it's their wife or their kids or their parents or brother or whatever, a friend, whatever it is. So,
something, right? Yeah.
But yeah, like, you can't really tell anybody how to live their life. They have to make that decision themselves.
Agreed.
All right, well, we are pretty close to the end of our episode here, Nico. It's been a pleasure having you on, and we've talked about a lot of stuff that I intended for us to talk about, and a lot that wasn't initially on the slate, but it was still entertaining to talk about nonetheless. I'm wondering if there's anything else that you'd like to discuss that we hadn't touched on today before we close our episode.
First of all, thank you for having me. I've had a great time, great conversation. We did veer off a little bit. I probably definitely veered off a little bit. Once I get going, I could end up anywhere. But this was great. I'm trying to think if I have anything else. I want to ask you maybe one more question we'll end it on, because I was thinking about this. Him and I were talking about this a little bit, and a buddy of mine posted this question last week, and I'm still thinking about it, so I'm curious your thought, and then we could probably close up shop here. But
For sure.
Do you think that you can be in pursuit of something and present in the current moment? Can you actively be pursuing something and present in the current moment? I've put a decent bit of thought in this, and I still don't have an answer, but I'm curious. Shout out Rory for posting that one on his Instagram, because that was like, I've been thinking about that. So what are your thoughts?
I believe that you absolutely can be in pursuit of something and also in the present moment.
Okay.
And some of that has to do with goal setting, right? So we talk about like short and long-term goals, for example. Like, my short-term goal might be as short as have a great time on this episode of the podcast today and not worry about what I'm doing later today or tomorrow, whatever. That's just a short-term goal that I made up off the top of my head, because the only thing that we can truly control is what's going on right now. I can't control what I'm doing later today. I can't control what happened yesterday. All I can control is what's going on in the present. But to make use the example of the podcast again, my long-term goal, for example, was to create 50 episodes in a year. So that's a pursuit of something. A future pursuit is also to monetize my business of All-Star Mindset. But I can still be in the moment of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
The other way to look at that is, I believe firmly that life must constantly, I think, in order to be our most fulfilled as humans, is finding a balance between enjoyment and pleasure and happiness with what we have, as well as having a desire to improve. What I mean by that is, if we have only one or the other of those two things, then we're not going to become the best version of ourselves that we can be. And I'll start with the happiness and joy of being in the moment, which is to say that that's okay if somebody is just totally content with what they have and they want nothing more. That's okay, but I would say that you're probably not going to become the best version of yourself in that case, because you are not focused in any way, shape, or form on improving yourself. If you were, for example, totally okay with what you had, financially, emotionally, physically, like total acceptance for like your physique and your diet and your lifestyle.
You're complacent.
You're kind of complacent. You're maybe happy with what you have, but you're kind of stagnant because you're not improving. Yeah. And because of the fact that we are finite. We have a finite amount of time here. I like to sort of view it as like you're kind of going backwards because we're aging, but if you're staying the same and you're aging, you're actually kind of going backwards. But you also need to have, I think, or you also can't only be focused on improving myself and not having any sort of enjoyment or happiness or presence of the current moment. Because if all I ever care about is getting better, or my marathon time wasn't enough, or like I'm not good enough, I don't have enough money, I don't have the job, I don't have the relationship, if all you're ever focused on is the future and you never take time to appreciate what you have in the moment, you're also never going to be happy.
Yeah.
So it's like about finding an even balance of like acceptance and happiness and joy and excitement and pleasure with being in the moment, as well as a healthy balance of trying to improve myself to become the best version of myself that I can in the future. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of where my head went when you asked that. So
I loved it.
I think your original question was like, can you pursue something and also still be kind of present in the moment? Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of where my head goes when I think about that. I think that you absolutely can achieve both of those things.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
There was something you said there that made me think you're right? Because if you're actively pursuing something and you go all in on it, I think it's a great strategy for sure. But is your social life being affected in a negative way? I think personally it's good to go all in, but I think having a good group of people around you, being social, is very healthy.
Yeah.
For sure, right? So that's kind of the same thing with alcohol.
Everything in moderation.
Right? And I get both sides because I've gone all in on both sides of the ball a little bit, but is it worth not having a social life and not building these connections and not having these friends, and then you're lonely, and like, what's worse for you, going out and having a couple drinks, or 5 years go by and you have no friends but you can run a marathon in 3 hours? Like, I think there's a balance there. I do believe that. I think relationships and your social and everything is very important, and I think pushing yourself to other limits is very important. So that's kind of how I feel about it. But,
yeah, for sure.
I love your answer on that question, by the way.
Yeah, it's a very uniquely answered question. Everybody's different.
For sure.
Like, I don't drink. I don't really enjoy going out and socializing. But because of that, I have fewer friends, I would say. I have less of a social life than somebody that does go out and do that.
I go pretty hard sometimes.
Right? Yeah, there's trade-offs, right? So, like, that's probably not the healthiest thing, but you have more friends and more camaraderie and more, So it's like everything in moderation. As long as you're doing that and you're okay and you understand the repercussions and the, things that go along with that, like, that's fine.
I agree. I think having knowledge on what you're doing is the most important part. So, like, what is alcohol doing to your brain and your body? And it's terrible. It's awful, right? Like, Huberman's podcast on alcohol's effects on the body, like, I was in college when I listened to it, and I was like, I'm never drinking again. And then a week went by.
And then you went out that night and you got fucking blackout.
Yeah. I'm like, fuck. And then I wake up in the morning, and I'm aware, though, what's happening, which I think is a good...
Awareness is key.
Yeah.
For sure.
So,
all right, man. We'll leave off there. Nico, brother, appreciate you. Sounds like we could definitely do another episode in the future. We both went off on some tangents there. It could be pretty entertaining, but...
For sure.
Wish you the best of luck. Thanks for sharing your expertise. And we'll chat again soon, my friend.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, man.
Thank you.
See ya. Yep. Bye-bye.